to another episode of the Monarch Group podcast. I've got Elizabeth back on just because there's been a lot of changes in the market right now, and I really wanted some updates from Elizabeth as she's got that national, that state background. She's got some great insights that she shares. Good morning.
Well, good morning. I tell you, it's great to be back here. And I will say this, there is no question right now, currently moving into the fourth quarter of 2025, we have gotten so many questions just from not only our past clients, but in general about not only what is going on in the market, but what does this government shutdown really mean to real estate? That is what is on the forefront of, I believe, a lot of the buyers and the sellers right now in terms of the delay and what does it mean for them? Obviously, we are grateful that there are more homes on the market. We love that. However, we are telling people that we are not in that type of market where buyers are not going to be forgiving with repairs. We have seen that in 2025. So we're really seeing a shift there in that mindset. But I really believe right now, if I had a crystal ball, rates and the government shutdown is on the forefront of what people are asking me personally in terms of in the real estate world about what's going on there.
Yeah, is the government shutdown affecting the sellers or the buyers more at the moment?
Really both, because if a buyer can't process their loan, it's affecting the seller. And if the seller's under contract to buy another home, it's just a domino effect. And we really were hoping that this would only last about 14, no more than 15 days. But, if you watch, as I've always told people, there's really only one TV show I really watch, and that's Squawk Box, because it affects everything. I'm always looking at the 10-year treasury to find out what, to get a little bit of an idea of what's going on with rates. But I really do believe that it's gone on. It's a little bit longer than we anticipated. There's no question that it's affecting homes that are in floodplains that are under contract. It's affecting FHA buyers. It's affecting VA buyers. It's affecting USDA. So we're really seeing that that's going to have a little bit more of an impact the longer that this goes on.
Because it's almost hit a month now, hasn't it?
Almost. We're getting very, very close to 30 days.
Yeah, which is, I know that's very unexpected from when that first came out. Everyone, like you said, thought it would be a short thing. But with how the market's been lately, and we've seen, sellers have already got a limited pool of people. So now they've just divided again because those people can't necessarily go forward with their loans. What can sellers do now to sort of overcome these challenges, these added challenges from this?
Well, at this point in time, how that personally affects the listings that we're putting on, is that a direct impact? I haven't seen that personally with our team business yet. I've had a lot of conversations with our lenders, with our mortgage brokers in terms of what are they seeing. And they said, Elizabeth, it's a little bit of a slower trickle. So I don't necessarily think that should keep somebody from putting their home on the market. I tell people are always getting married, getting divorced, passing away, buying investment properties. So what I am seeing, which is part of managing our clients and sellers' expectations, is longer days on the market. We've got sellers that are a little anxious, that thought process of, the house is going to sell within 48 hours. And you've seen this personally. We're seeing that sometimes that market's not created till 30 days later. And I'm sitting here scratching my head saying the house has been on the market for 30 days and we just got a spurt of activity. And then we get multiple offers. Now, fortunately, a couple weeks ago, we had a situation where we had multiple offers and we ended up selling it for several $1,000s more than the list price. But we're just not simply seeing that as much right now in the market. What we are hoping is that, I'm telling people 35 to 45 days is the average right now in Jefferson County, but all real estate is local. So they really need to know what is going on in their particular neighborhood, because if we've got a property right now that has literally had 18 showings and no offers, and the seller doesn't want to do a price reduction. So I'm telling people, you know what? Guess what? Wake up. I'm not here to make you feel warm and fuzzy. If I do, great. I want to, and I say that with a big heart, because we lead with our heart. We love what we do. Yet the market is telling us, guess what? You should have already gotten an offer. If you haven't, as much as you mentally want to hold on to that price, hey, you can't if you want to sell.
Right, because if a buyer's not making an offer, then it's just sat there, and it doesn't matter, what number it is up there if they're not making the offer. How long should people really react to their home being on the market and making a price reduction?
Well, that's a great question. Ooh, if I had a crystal ball, I would be down in Sandestin on the beach, right? That really is personally, I believe, neighborhood specific, because 2 years ago, if a house had been on the market for 14 days and you had 8 showings and no offers, we would immediately say, look, the market's reacting. I think we need to do a price reduction. But I just recently dealt with a property that's been on the market for the average of Jefferson County, about 35, 36 days. We did a small price reduction, and I think we're getting ready to get an offer. So it's really, that is where I think it's more of an art versus, the numbers can only help you so much. And that is where who you hire matters in terms of a realtor, because, it's that following up, making those calls to those realtors that have shown it, having those open houses, getting that feedback, and really trying to say, you know what, here it all is. Here's the numbers of your neighborhood. This is what I think we should do next.
Mm-hmm. And we've seen that. I've seen that, but like you said, personally, with 2 of the listings, because we had one listing where the seller asked, how's the neighborhood, how's the market doing? And we saw that the rest of them were making price reduction. We said, we don't want to get left behind. Made a price reduction, went under contract. Then another one where it's like, how's the neighborhood doing? It's like, well, nobody's made a price reduction. There's a lot of homes sitting. We made the price reduction, stood out from the crowd, went under contract with 3 offers. So we see different sides of it. And like you said, it's just knowing the market, knowing the neighborhood, knowing how the other houses are doing in the area.
Absolutely. And I've always said, you want to be the bride and not the bridesmaid. It's wedding season. So I oftentimes will relate that to our clients. And again, I think what is also very important is when you're talking about numbers, right now in the Jefferson County market, the average listed sales price is hovering around 97 to 98%. So what does that mean to our listeners? Well, if you list your home for $100,000, on average, you're going to get $97,000 to $98,000. And that why that's so important is that number alone, especially back in 2008, 9, 10, 11, and 12, helped me personally guide my clients in not overpricing your home. And that's a word. That is a word we have not really heard much over the last 5 years, is overpricing. I always tell people, hey, we want to be aggressive, right? We don't want to leave money on the table, but we are seeing a lot of properties that are overpriced, and some of that is because these clients and these sellers bought in 21, 22, and 23. I mean, Alex, I just had a conversation with a potential seller for our team, and she paid at market or a little bit above, and she's going to have a tough time breaking even.
Mm-hmm. And that's a tough conversation to have, but that's the thing of, again, working with agents who are professional and will tell you the truth and not trying to sugarcoat it and try and make it seem like a better situation. Like, oh, we can sell your house for whatever you want. I had the same conversation the other day, and it's with a seller, and told them, where they were working with another agent and just didn't want another adjustment, and told them, where you're at right now is too high, and showed them the facts and the numbers, and they understood. But with these difficulties that are going on in the market with the pricing, I mean, it doesn't just belong with where your house goes up for sale for. It also then trickles down to when you go into contract inspections. I mean, those are just brutal right now from what I'm seeing out there.
They are. And I tell you what I believe is positive, and what I want potential buyers going into 2026, because now is the time to plan. If you right now that if you're thinking about itching, I mean, I tell my mom always says, oh, you're always looking. I'm like, of course I am, right? I mean, but when you know that it's going to happen in the next 12 months, the positive thing that buyers can look forward to is that inventory is up on average year from last year to this year, about 7.5%. So what does that really mean to a buyer? There's more inventory. There's more choices. Now, does that mean that you're going to have a lot more negotiating room? I don't necessarily know that. Sellers are being very tough on hanging on to that price. So if you want it, that's where your realtor's going to guide you. Hey, look, it's $5,000-$10,000. Are you overpaying? Maybe you are, but if this is a house you're going to stay in 5 to 10 years, that thought process is different, and that's that conversation. So I think that's positive for buyers right now. I think for sellers, In certain areas, it is still a seller's market. There is still a lack of inventory. Now, the issue is sale prices have gone up year over year. In Jefferson County over the last 48 years, on average, even when the market tanked, the market came back, on average is about 3.2%. And that is for single family homes. So as prices continue to rise, that's a positive thing for a seller. But I will tell you, be very cautious. Don't be greedy, as I like to tell people. And sometimes people are shocked when I say that word. Not that they're inherently being greedy. Nobody wants to leave money on the table. But yet, you've got to look at what is your carrying cost, especially if you've already bought that next home. And Alex, you know this. We're working with a lot of clients. Not only is it a great time for buyers and a great time for sellers because that pendulum is swinging. Now, where it gets to where it's ideal for both parties is it doesn't stay there very long. It usually sways one way or the other. But the conversations we're having with a lot of people is, you know what, walk me through and how do I work through having to buy and sell? We're back to that era, right, where people are making offers and making it contingent upon the sale and the closing. And I'm seeing all of that in possession. And, that's very complicated, which is why I tell people don't do this alone. You need a professional realtor. I mean, I think we're two of the greatest ones in Louisville. I better, right? However, if it's not us, you need to be using a professional because we do this day in and day out. And that is where there's a lot of moving parts. And especially if you're buying and selling, that's where we come in and we are worth our weight in gold.
Absolutely. And it's the full-time part and also going through it because there's so many changes in the documents on the back end, which the average seller doesn't realize. I've heard horror stories of some sellers who've gone through the process and their agent didn't tell them about their seller concessions because they didn't know it was in the contract, and it's that new line that's added. So definitely a lot of things that need to be taken care of and to be looked at there. Now, on a buyer's side, rates are a big conversation right now because, everyone was thinking, they're going down, and the talk was all they're going down, and it's still not hit below that 6 now. How's the environment for buyers going through that process?
I think that they need to buy now. You buy now, you start building wealth. You build that equity, you save a little bit more money. You can always refinance at a later point in time. Now is the time. Period. Because you can't you're never going to time it. You're never going to hit it. And 0.5% is that's where, I will say I had some conversation about $283 and what 0.5% on an average sale price for a buyer. That is a lot of money. I definitely don't want somebody to think I'm insensitive because I do think, that's tennis shoes. That's tennis rackets. I've been there, done that with my 3 boys. So I know how much $200 can make a difference on a monthly payment. Yet there are some options. You can buy the rate down. You can ask the seller to help you with those concessions. You can offset your closing costs. There is a lot of options that can help you in terms of buying now, regardless of where the rate is. And I will tell you, I'll take myself for example. I bought an investment property last year and my rate was 7.8%. But hey, you know what? It's an investment. I personally know that it was still a good decision because I've got my money in a piece of real estate, a piece of dirt that's going to appreciate. And that is really that mentality. And you know what? When you are getting married, having a child, wanting to start your life, you want something of your own. And if you wait, you're going to be waiting 5 more years. And I tell all of our potential buyers, if you wait the people that waited and got off the fence in 2022 because we heard it. I'm just tired of being in multiple offers. I'm tired of losing out. Well, you know what? Toughen up, because if you had bought in 2022, think about the appreciation you would have gotten out of that home in 3 years. That far outweighs the pain and the suffering and really, I tell people, the emotional intelligence. I always say, right now in the 2025, 2026 market, it's that emotional intelligence from a buyer standpoint that you have to have, and you have to lean into your agent. Don't lean into the peanut gallery, because you're going to have a lot of people trying to tell you what to do this, do that, do this. That's where you lean into your agent and you say, you know what, this is my life, my decision, and I need to start building wealth now. And what's a CD paying? 4%, take that money, put it in a piece of real estate. And I will tell you, there is a lot of great options for first-time home buyers. I'm always watching. Lawrence Yun is getting ready to come out with his national numbers, which I talk about a lot because I'm always looking at what is going on nationally. And there are a lot of options for first-time home buyers where they can buy 1 to 4 units and still get an FHA loan. Alex, if I was in my 20s, I should have taken my daddy's advice. Don't tell him I said that. But, I should have bought more real estate in my 20s. I bought real estate, but I should have bought more. And there are a lot of great loan options out there. So just because you see the flashing headlines on Squawk Box, rates have not moved, should not stop you. Look at your options. Look at what you need to do to take advantage of what is going on right now.
Absolutely. And that's what I recommend to my clients is never, the rate is going to be what the rate is going to be. That's something that you can't control. You can't handle. But what you can control is your financial background, your budget, making sure that you're prepared and planned. So if someone goes through there, I've spoken to buyers who is like, I didn't want to buy because of the rate. I'm like, well, do you know what your monthly payment? They're like, I don't know. And it's like, well, figure that out. And it could be well within your comfortability. And it's like, eventually the rate's going to change. And if you work with a great lender who we would recommend, they will always speak to someone about a rate drop as well. So you get the best of both worlds. And, I've had some people who they've not got in the market. They've seen a house that they loved. They were not ready and it got sold. And then they wish that they had that home and did not move on it. So it's, planning and budgeting is an important thing. And on that planning side, moving into 2026, if some sellers aren't quite ready yet, but they want to, and they're like, I know I want to do it in the spring market. What would you recommend for them to do between now and that spring market?
Well, I think what they need to know is there's everybody and their mother wants to list in the spring because they think that's when their house looks great, right? So, you know what? More competition means that's going to really put you in a position where you don't have the upper hand. So I've always sold every house I've ever owned in the fourth and first quarter of the year. The thought process is I know it's colder weather, but you may want to tap in and consider getting with us, letting us recommend if you got to do some organization, if you've got stuff. I'm talking to a client right now that she knows in the next 3 months she's going to be selling, but she's already starting that process of getting somebody over there to buy her stuff and to sell that stuff because she's moving up to move in with her daughter. So really now is the time. And my question would be, why wait till spring? Right? That old thought process is, I'm going to wait till spring because, April, May. Well, it's the busiest time of year here in Louisville. And people really sometimes aren't even thinking about buying homes in April and May. They're looking in January. So I tell a lot of our sellers, January is the time. I know it's cold, but buyers are still out, and those are serious buyers when they're out in the snow.
Yeah, we're seeing homes still selling right now. Like you said, a lot of them are hitting 30 to 40 days, but we're seeing other homes that are selling within the first few days. So it's still a market that's vibrant and active, and there's still options out there. And how would, if someone does go, okay, well, let's do it now, what's the first step for them? Is to go through like a market report?
Well, I would recommend that they call us, get an appointment. We will go through the numbers with them. We will also give them options on a possible office exclusive. If they are like, if somebody came along, I might consider it. There are a lot more options for a seller right now in this market, and I would recommend that you talk to us now. That way we can start holding you accountable. I tell everybody, every seller, right? It's the holidays. Nobody wants to be boxing up stuff, but we're here to follow up with them. We've had clients that we've followed up with for a year. And it's taken them a year to get ready. So I recommend that they have the conversation now. If you are wanting to start moving towards trending and purchasing, we've got a great event coming up in the first of the quarter, January 17th, Leveling Up Financial Freedom. I encourage people, check that out on our website. They can come. It's on a Saturday. It's over Martin Luther King weekend. There are a lot of things going on that I think that they can contact us and let us sit down and talk to them. It doesn't cost them anything.
Yeah, and it's great information to have, even if it doesn't look like it's now, but it's great information to have. You should always know what your home equity is and always know where you're sitting in the market and how your neighborhood's doing. So from this conversation, I'm hearing that, days are up on the market, sellers are having different challenges, but still a positive time. Buyers are having to work through different obstacles. So what I'm hearing is there's a lot more challenges than there were, say, 3 years ago when it was just put a home up and, put a sign in the yard. So now seeing that it's a different market is really just planning, getting yourself surrounded by the right people.
Well, and I think what is important to know is there's always challenges, right? And no matter what market, because even when I think the most I had 26 offers on one particular home, that's a challenge, right? So I think a lot of that is managing expectations and looking at those challenges as an opportunity. And that's the way I have always seen it in the last 24 years, over the last 2 decades. Every market presents opportunities, and that's opportunities for buyers, opportunities for sellers. And the key is talking to the right person and figuring out those opportunities for you and your family. And that's really what we do here at the Monarch Group. Absolutely.
And I can definitely recommend that. So appreciate you coming on, Elizabeth, and sharing some great insights. I think it's information that people must know out there.
Absolutely.
It's a different market right now and people need to know. So thank you again. And to all those out there watching, we appreciate you and we'll see you on the next episode.